Okay, so today we're diving into the DieHor project
Mhm.
and specifically their module on AI in everyday family life.
Mm.
And what's interesting here is the framing. We usually talk about AI in these huge futuristic terms, but this research, it argues the big integration has already happened, and it's happening in the living room.
It is. I mean, the sources stopped calling these things tools at all.
Hmm.
A tool is passive, right? You use it, you put it away. They call AI the invisible roommate.
Invisible roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that completely changes the conversation.
Yeah.
A roommate has influence.
Exactly. If you look at the data in the invisible helper source, it shows how these systems are already making tiny decisions for us. The streaming algorithm that picks the next show, the social feed that decides what news you see. These aren't just, neutral utilities.
Right.
They are active participants in your family's dynamic. They're constantly learning from you to predict what you want and maybe even nudge you.
And that seems to be the mission here. It's not about scaring parents into, throwing the modem out the window. It's about moving from fear to what they call AI literacy. It's about getting to know this roommate.
Right. And to be fair, we have to look at the benefits because they're pretty substantial. The Why AI Helps section points to things like personalized learning, an app that adapts to your child's pace.
Which is incredible for accessibility, too.
Absolutely. So there are real objective positives.
We always have to look at the other side of the scale, the things to watch section. And for me, beyond the usual suspects like data privacy, the one that really stood out was over-reliance.
That's the hidden cost, isn't it? If the map app always tells you where to turn or the algorithm always picks your music,
You stop learning how to do it yourself.
your decision-making muscles start to, atrophy.
And then there's the whole issue of algorithmic bias. We think of computers as being neutral, but they're trained on our data, on human data.
So they inherit our biases, our blind spots.
So that leads to the big question, right? Who is actually overseeing this roommate?
Well, the sources do mention the global ethical standards. You've got the EU, UNESCO, the OECD. They are all trying to build frameworks for what they call trustworthy AI.
Trustworthy AI.
Yeah, and the pillars are what you'd expect. Fairness, transparency, safety. But the one they highlight as most critical is human oversight.
There has to be a human in the loop.
Always. You can't just hand the keys over to the code.
The thing is, though, legislation moves so slowly. The algorithm updates tonight, but the law might take years. So while the grown-ups are figuring that out, what can a family do at the breakfast table?
The family actions part of the research suggests a surprisingly simple, low-tech solution. It's about deconstruction.
Deconstruction, what does that mean?
It's a technique they call ask how. So instead of just watching the next video that pops up, you pause and ask your kid, how do you think the computer knew you'd want to see this one?
Oh, that's smart. That is really smart. You're making them a detective instead of just a consumer.
Exactly. It gets the child to try and reverse engineer the process. They start to realize the machine has a goal.
And that goal is usually just keeping them watching.
Right. And that little moment of realization is the first step on what the project calls the future skills staircase.
Which goes from digital responsibility up to ethical awareness and finally, AI literacy.
Correct. And AI literacy is really the end game here. It's not about everyone learning to code.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the systems that are shaping your world so you can navigate them on your own terms.
It's a fundamental life skill now.
Yeah.
I guess we can't evict the invisible roommate, so we have to learn how to live with them.
We have to make sure we're the ones setting the house rules, not the other way around.
And here's a final thought on that idea of human oversight. We see it as our safety net. But what happens if these algorithms get so good at predicting what makes us happy and giving us exactly what we want, that our oversight just becomes agreement? How do you know if you're still guiding the AI or if it has just finished training you?
That is the question.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.